Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Richard Herring! Hello! Hey! Hello! Hello, Barnard Castle! I have always dreamed of playing here. And when I saw it on the tour itinerary, I assumed it was like a joke. They just for putting a laugh made a place up out of Game of Thrones or something, but apparently it's, I mean, if it is a joke, they've gone to a lot of trouble to make this happen, so I'm going to pretend it's real, and then if it turns out to be a gag, that's fine. So, no, I'm delighted to be here. I'm going to shut this curtain and come to open that up. That's the magic of backstage, you know, let's sit back there. So, it's lovely to be here. This show is called The Best. It's the best material from the 12 one-man shows I've done over the last 15 years. Someone said that's going to be a very short show. Well, no, because the best doesn't mean it's good, does it? It just means it's the least worst stuff. So it'll be 90 minutes long. Exactly. So I think it's important to live your life by a motto. I think you have to choose your motto and then live by it. I don't think you can change. There's no point in having a philosophy if you just change it halfway through your life based on some new evidence. I mean, that would be ludicrous. I chose to live my life by the motto, my enemy's enemy is my friend. I thought that was a good motto, my enemy's enemy is my friend. Unfortunately, as it turns out, my enemy is his own worst enemy. So I have to invite him to barbecues and stuff. It's quite annoying, I don't really like him. He's my enemy, you see. It's doubly annoying because he lives his life by the motto, keep your friends close. It's happening now, if you think about it. Some people arriving now, so I'm going to let them come. It's kind of a little weird setup. You've missed one joke, it was a good one though. Yeah, I'll do it in the second half for you. Is it like, is there a sort of big divide between the town? Some people say over here, we must be caged off from each other. It's like being at a sort of wedding of some kind where the bride and groom hate each other. So I was chatting up a girl at a bar the other day. It wasn't going very well, I have to say. I liked her, she wasn't really interested in me. I was annoying her, if anything. But I was persistent. As you're going to find out, ladies, if you do just hang around by the bar after the show, I'm persistent, that's all I've got. It's my superpower, dating, persistence. Try and wear them down, hopefully get a pity fuck. I mean, is there any other kind, mate? If we're being honest. I want you to know, I didn't just pick on you because you're at the front. I had a good look around everyone. It was doing it. I said, come on, I know it's gone very well tonight. Give me another chance. Let me take you out for dinner. She said, you take me out for dinner. I wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire. I said, what if I wasn't on fire? Didn't seem to help. It was a gamble. It could have paid off. I don't want you to worry, ladies. So I'm not one of these sexist, women-hating comedians you get these days. I despise all of that. I love women. I am not a sexist. I've actually got a friend who's a woman. So I can't be sexist. I strongly believe that women should be treated as if they're equal. That is... It's a credo I live my life by. Should say that's nice, sweet tits. Don't worry, it's going to be fine. So, Jerry Hall had some advice, girls, on how to keep your man. So that's going to be worth listening to. This is going to be gold dust. Jerry Hall's advice. Prick up your ears. That's not the advice. Jerry Hall's advice, girls. All you have to do to keep your man, according to Jerry Hall, is have like a cook in the kitchen, a maid in the parlour, and a whore in the bedroom. Better advice, though, girls, if you want to keep your man, is to have like a whore in every room. Most men don't really care what state the parlour has got into her. I don't really go in the parlour, if I'm honest. I'm not entirely sure where the parlour is. Don't waste your time tidying up in the parlour. It will go unnoticed. As long as you're whoring it up. On the airing cupboard. I guess some of you are probably are new to me and might be wondering how the show's going to go. I just wanted to sit back and relax. This show's called The Best because I am definitely the best stand-up comedian currently working in the world. So just sit back and enjoy this. I envy you, and I wish I was in your position to be able to watch this because it's... I don't know the meaning of the word hubris. Which is a shame, because straight after this I'm taking part in a Define the Meaning of the Word Hubris competition. I'm not bothered though, I think I'm definitely going to win. Anyway, somebody, it's a mistake to start so early with a joke that depends on the audience. Hello, knowing the definition of quite an obscure word. I'm having fun, I don't know if you are. It's just yeah, no, come and sit down, just listen there, so we like me. We're just wandering. When you feel, don't worry, it's a complicated joke about hubris. As I was saying, not many people know what the word means, so it helps to have this strange hobbity man wandering halfway through, distract away from it. But, act your age, not your shoe size. That means something different on the continent. So, is the glass half full or half empty? I say it's half empty. People say that makes me a pessimist, but it kind of depends what's in the glass, doesn't it? What if it's a glass of poison? Suddenly I don't look so pessimistic, do I? What if it's a glass of monkey semen? Suddenly I'm like quite a positive fellow, don't I? That monkey semen's half gone. That's a good thing. Not so much to go. To be honest, I'd rather be a pessimist than the kind of person who drinks half a glass of something without sniffing it first to check what it is. Oh, that looks like a nice smoothie. Slightly brackish. So, I used to play football in games lessons at school. I wasn't very good at football, but I was persistent. I was trying very hard. I was a very selfish player. I'd always hog the ball, which is the problem, because I was a useless player. I'd always lose the ball. At the end of one lesson, Mr. Morris, the games teacher, came up to me. He said, "Herring, you're playing very selfishly. You have to learn to pass the ball. Football is a team game, and there is no I in team." I said, "No, but there is a me in there, isn't there? If you look again, it's pretty close. It's a bit jumbled up, but it's definitely in there, isn't it?" And Mr. Morris, who lives his life by the philosophy that if a word has a smaller word inside it, that actually affects the definition of the larger word. I was forced to concede it was all right for me to play selfishly because there is a me in team. The next lesson, I started trimming up people on my side, jumping on them, gnawing at their legs. Mr. Morris said, "What are you doing, Herring? That's against the rules of association football." I said, "Mr. Morris, there is an eat in team." He said, "Yeah, fair enough, you got me there. Can't really argue with that, it would be hypocritical. I've been hoisted with my own petard." That's what he said. He was a very Shakespearean quoting games teacher. No, don't stereotype the games teacher. They're not all ignorant bullies who sleep with 6'4" girls. That's an unfair, it's an untrue stereotype. The next lesson, I started attacking people on my side with a cleaver. Then I took their lifeless cadavers. I hung them up in a refrigerated lorry for sale at market. On some later date, I was hoping to make a profit from my evil deeds. Mr. Morris was bamboozled. He couldn't understand what was going on. He said, "What are you doing, Herring? That is murder. That is currently against the laws of the United Kingdom and is seriously frowned upon by the FA." I said, "Mr. Morris, there is a meat in team." Mr. Morris said, "No, Herring, meat is an anagram of team. I live my life by the philosophy that if a word has a smaller word inside it, that affects the definition. Not if it's an anagram. What kind of ridiculous philosophy would that be? If the anagram had any bearing on the definition of the word, it would be a ludicrous crater to live one's life by." So I did have to go to prison for 30 years. Turns out me is an anagram of team. But I've always asked too many questions in my life. I always do it. It's good for my job, but it's not good for me having any kind of personal happiness because the questions I ask are not ones that people enjoy. I remember when I was 8 years old asking my mum, "How many weeks would you have to attend Roman Catholic Holy Communion before you'd eaten an entire Jesus?" Questions like, why did Jesus call Simon Peter? His name was Simon, is it true? Just call him by his name. Was it like the way that Trigger always used to call Rodney Dave? It's got too embarrassing to point out after a while, just accept it. Questions like, if a serial killer kills another serial killer, does that work like conkers? I remember being about 5 years old, my mum saying she loved me knowing I was meant to say I love you too, but not being clear about what I was meant to be feeling as I said those words. I didn't know what did they mean. I wasn't sure. And I don't think I'm alone in that, because I don't think children are actually capable of love. Yeah, some of you have got kids, you didn't want to hear that. You think they love you. They don't. Love's about empathy. It's about understanding the world from someone else's perspective. It's about giving more than you take that. A child does not understand any of that stuff. They're just the centre of their own little universe. They just have what they can grab and stuff into their stupid, greedy faces. They need you, of course. They depend on you. Yes, they say they love you because they've worked out that's a good way to get free stuff. But they can't love. When they're teenagers, they're going to actively hate you. So enjoy this ambivalence while it lasts. You're going to look back with a sense of nostalgia. Do you remember they just didn't give a fuck? It was, you can't go back. I'm so happy. People get annoyed. People don't like this. They say, I don't care what you say, Mr. Cherry, because parental love is the most impressive love in the world. I disagree. I think parental love is the least impressive of all the loves. Because you have to love your own kids. That's the bottom line. That's the default setting. There is nothing impressive about it, at least. If you hate your kids, that's interesting. Come and have a chat with me. I would like to hear more. Otherwise, shut up. You get those guys going, I love my kids. I fucking love my kids. Go, yeah, mate, I sort of assumed you did. The fact you're so vehement about it makes me suspect you don't actually like them at all. You seem to resent them a bit, if I'm honest. Loving your own kids is easy, it's instinct. Loving other people's kids, that's hard. These kids are dicks, aren't they? But you'll never some guy, I love other people's kids. I fucking love other people's kids. Might lead to misunderstandings, fair enough. People get annoyed with me. They say, I don't care what you say, because motherly love is the most impressive love in the universe. I disagree. I think motherly love is actually less impressive than fatherly love, because some dads do fuck off. So if you hang around, guys, well done. 1 point. That's all you get. But your mum would have loved whatever crawled out of her the day you were born. Anything could have come out of her. She'd have loved it exactly the same as you. Could have been a bunch of flowers, a hat stand, could have been a Rubik's snake. Could have come out of there. Remember those? I change that last one every night. They're often quite phallic for some reason. It could have been like a half frog, half hamster hybrid. I can't breathe properly, Mummy. I'm in so much pain. I'm an awful chimera. I was never meant to exist. I'm two different genera spliced together. I'm in so much pain. Please, Mummy, kill me. I don't understand how my respiratory system's even functioning, let alone how I've acquired such sophisticated speech. She'd have loved that monstrosity exactly the same as she loves you. In the ejaculation that created you, there were 600 million sperm. If any other sperm had got to the egg before yours did, a different person would have come out that day. Your mum would have loved any of those 600 million people exactly the same as she loves you. That's the population of the Southern Hemisphere. Your mum is a love whore. Yours specifically. Give her a ring after the show. Tell her how I feel. People are so proud of having kids. I don't get that. I've got one now. I'm not proud of her. I'm ashamed. Don't you remember how your children were created? All children are walking evidence of an appalling thing you once did. My daughter's 2 now. I make her walk half a mile behind me. I don't want people knowing what I've been up to in the privacy of my bedroom. All children are is sexual excrement that you have failed to dispose of in a considerate manner. That's all. I call them sexcrement. It's a bit snappy, and it's sexcrement. I'm very careful now with my actual sexcrement. I don't want a repeat of this. I'm not having another one of these things crawling into my house. I dispose of with ruthless efficiency, mainly for fear that the journalist Liz Jones is snooping around by my dustbins like some kind of feral spunk fox, snaffling up my used condoms, gobbling them up like vaginal frubes. That's about as bad as it's going to get. Just about. I make sure that a single one of my sperm leaves the bedroom alive. It's an awful jism holocaust. It's the only way to be sure. I don't dress my sexcrement up in a little bonnet and then wheel it around town asking old ladies to coet it. I don't take photographs of my newly minted sexcrement and then email that as an attachment to all of my friends. Sometimes I do a really good one and I want to, but I'm just about to click send. I think, oh, Rich, hold on. Will your friends want to see a picture of your actual sexcrement? I don't want to see a picture of yours. There's only 3 things you should be doing with your excrement you can be proud of. That's throwing it in the bin, flushing it down the toilet, or wiping it on the curtains. Those are the options. Do not put it on Facebook. But I am a very romantic man, and I always have been. I'm very happily married now. All that flirting earlier girls was just for show. I'm taken. You had your chance. You literally had your chance. 10 years ago, I would have slept with anyone. But now I met my wife, and I was 40 when I met my wife, and I'd kind of given up on that idea of one true love. I thought I was just going to carry on this kind of lifestyle. It was a sort of student itinerant lifestyle, travelling from place to place, doing whatever I wanted with whoever I wanted. I think a lot of men my age at the time envied me the freedom that I had. It's not as good as you think, fellas. I think when you're about 17 or 18, you think it's a good idea to go out and sleep with loads of different people. I think most of us get a bit older, a bit more mature, into our mid-20s. We realise it's more satisfying to be in a long-term exclusive relationship with someone we have genuine feelings for, that we cherish and love. Then we get a bit older, into our 30s, and we realise, no, I was right first of all. Too late, you've got kids now, you have to divide up the CD collection, it's more trouble than it's worth. Best just sit it out, wait for the blessed release of death. But then I met my wife, and it was seriously love at first sight. I've never experienced anything like it in my life. It was crazy. The first time I spoke to her, when I walked away, I genuinely felt a magnetic force pulling me back towards her. I've never experienced something like that before. I went weak at the knees as I was talking to her. That's only happened to me once before. When I was about 23, I was in the BBC canteen, and I walked past the actress Jenny Agutter, who I'd enjoyed as a teenager. And the knees literally went, though. I think that might have just been some kind of muscle memory. All the time I watched a shower scene in an American Wife in London to the takeaway from. My wife's an amazing woman. I have no idea what she sees in me. She's way too good for me. She's beautiful, she's funny, she's clever. She's got these weird little gaps in her knowledge and an odd way of looking at the world, which makes me suspect she might be an alien sent from another planet to observe her sperms. And she selected me as the prime human male to breed with, and that at least makes sense. That's my prime bit of evidence for this theory. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. One of the first conversations we had, she told me she had a list of things she wanted to achieve in her life, like a bucket list, 30 things to do before you die, like climb Mount Kilimanjaro, do a parachute jump. There were things like that on her list. But the third thing she told me about on her list of things to achieve in her life was to build a pyramid out of Ferrero Rocher chocolates, like they have on the ambassador's reception advert on TV. That's her third lifetime ambition. To even think of wanting to do that at all, I thought was incredible. But if that was one of your lifetime ambitions, wouldn't that be incredibly easy to achieve? All you'd have to do is buy some Ferrero Rocher chocolates and borrow a tray. Bang, that's that one ticked off. Let's look into parachute lessons. Come on, we're not getting younger, let's move it on. So, the fact it was an unfulfilled ambition, that's what did it for me. The fact she wanted to do that, but she couldn't be bothered. That's the woman for me. Now, our first Valentine's Day came along. We'd only been together for a couple of weeks at this stage. It had been a bit of a rocky journey getting there. It was too early to make a massive gesture. If I'd bought her a big present at this sensitive stage, it might have derailed everything. What if she hadn't even got me a card? She hadn't got me a card, as it turned out. They don't have those on her planet. But what I did is a small romantic gesture. I bought her a single Ferrero Rocher chocolate with a note attached saying, if we're still together next Valentine's Day, as I hope and believe we will be, I'll buy you another Ferrero Rocher chocolate. That's one maybe. Good timing. It's quite offensive, this routine. Once I stopped talking about the spunk and stuff, he's gone all romantic. Not this. More jokes about child abuse, that's right. So I bought her a single Ferrero Rocher with a note attached saying he's going to come back in halfway through this and he's going to have a very wasted 5 minutes, I can tell you when he's not going to... It's going to be a single Ferrero Rocher chocolate with a note attached saying we're still together next Valentine's Day, as I hope and believe we will be. I'll buy you another Ferrero Rocher chocolate. I'll buy you Ferrero Rocher chocolates every Valentine's Day we share. If this relationship lasts as long as I know it's going to, eventually I'll have enough chocolates to build that pyramid and fulfill your ambition. So, Yeah, it's quite nice, isn't it? Watch and learn, fellas. Obviously, by the time she's got enough chocolate to build the pyramid, the early one she's been keeping in a tin for 50 years will be mouldy and desiccated, probably crumble to dust as she touches them, like something from Miss Havisham's feast. But it's a romantic. There's just someone else coming in and out of the room as I'm trying to. It's a lot of fun for me. I am absolutely convinced that I'm in the middle of a kind of. I think this is a Jeremy Beadle joke. That's how deep this goes. That he had to fake his own death 7 or 8 years ago to make me lull me into false sense of security. And he thought, we'll set him up in a gig in a place that doesn't exist. We'll have to build a hotel, staff it with actors, and then we'll get the theatre so that the only entrance is right down the middle of the room. Usually where there'd be an audience, you know, like that's just where they'd usually be playing to this. So, I don't know if you remember what's happening. So, they just came in, they looked around, they went out again. I don't know if they just thought this isn't for us, or just that it's too embarrassing. They maybe had a sense of decorum. I think they're hiding behind the door now. I'm not sure what to do. I can sort of see something moving around out there. It's nice for me. You know, I've seen this show before. This is different. So I bought her a single Ferrero Rocher chocolate, right? And the idea was I was going to buy one every year until she had enough to build the pyramid. Hello, come on in, don't worry, it's all fine. I'll tell you what, I'll recap, because it's your birthday. Well, that means you can come in and behave how you like anytime you want, doesn't it? Yeah, great. Do you want to come and do the show?
Don't put it.
Yeah. Good feeling. It's nice. Get some seats up there. Thank you. That other bloke managed to sneak back in. He used the distraction. He thought, this is brilliant. He might have hired those two. So I'm going to recap for myself because I'm not quite sure I know. It's quite a long story. My wife, for the new people, it was my wife's ambition to build a Ferrero Rocher pyramid as a romantic gesture on our first Valentine's Day. It's nice to try and summarise it. I bought a single Ferrero Rocher chocolate with the note saying, I'll buy you a Ferrero Rocher every Valentine's. We share and eventually have enough chocolate to build the pyramid. It's going to take a long time, right? By the time she's got enough chocolate to build the pyramid, the early one she's been keeping in a tin for 50 years will be mouldy and desiccated and crumble to dust. But it's, it's a romantic gesture. But as a romantic gesture, that means I have to keep doing it, right? I couldn't just get to the second Valentine's Day and go, yeah, didn't mean it. Thought it was a cool thing to say. I thought you might give me a blowjob. That'd be the same as saying I don't love you anymore, and I wanted to do this. I thought it was a nice idea. But the second Valentine's Day, I thought, well, let's speed this along a little bit before I'm an old man, mouldy and desiccated myself. So the second Valentine's Day, I got a 2 Ferrero Rocher chocolate. She's now got a total of 3 Ferrero Rocher chocolates. She can't eat them, just keep them in a tin, waiting to build the pyramid. The third Valentine's Day, I had to make quite an important decision. Was I buying the number of Ferrero Rocher chocolates equal to the number of Valentine's Days we'd share? That would be 3. Or was I doubling the Ferrero Rocher chocolates on a year-on-year basis? It was at this point I made a foolish decision, which didn't fully take into account the power of exponential mathematics. I thought, let's speed things along a little bit, give her a chance to build the pyramid. But I got a 4 chocolates. She's now got 7 chocolates. But the convention's been established. There must be chocolates every year. They must now double every year. If the next year I just got a 4 chocolates again, she'd say, no, I know she'll love us and double this year then. End of the relationship. So the next year I got 8 Ferrero Rocher chocolates. That's now a total of 15. Not enough to build a pyramid, but she was well on the way. But it made the years to come pretty interesting. The next year was 16, then 32, then 64. This year, I bought my wife 512 Ferrero Rocher chocolates. She now has 1,023 Ferrero Rocher chocolates in a tin in various states of decay, which, to be honest, is enough to build a pretty impressive pyramid. Doesn't mean I can stop. The convention's been established. There must be chocolates every year, but they double every year. Next year's 1,024, then 2,048. In 2020, I'll be buying 4,096 Ferrero Rocher chocolates. If we're still together 9 years after that, 2,097,152 unpleasant tasting things gold-wrapped, testicle-shaped sweetmeats to add to the 2,097,151 chocolates. She's been starring in a huge variety of containers all over the house. Tins and casserole dishes, basins, there'll be barfuls of the stuff. Some rotten, some relatively fresh. This romantic gesture is going to bankrupt me. There's literally no way out of this for me now. I've thought about this for years. I've thought all the options. I've got 3 options. My first option, now this is the most honourable of the 3, I think this is probably what I'm going to do, is to kill myself. As long as my Ferrero Rocher obligation has been fulfilled at the point of suicide, everyone will be happy. Did he at least buy the correct number of Ferrero Rocher chocolates last Valentine's Day? He did. That must be some comfort. My second option, just keep buying the chocolates till our house is so full of Ferrero Rocher chocolates, my family has to sleep in the street. My third option is to divorce my wife. It would seem a shame to end the only successful relationship of my life, merely because I failed to understand the nature of maths. By 2030, she'll have well over 4 million Ferrero Rocher chocolates. I think that might be enough Ferrero Rocher chocolates to build a full-size, full-scale, pyramid of Giza-sized pyramid that we could actually live inside, which would at least solve the storage issue. The problem with that, of course, is the year after. We'll have 2 full-size pyramids, the next year will be 4, then 8. It won't be long before we've got 2 million full-size Ferrero Rocher pyramids dotted around the countryside. My whole life will become dedicated to earning enough money to buy the land to build next year's 4 million pyramids. Paying people to raise existing buildings on that land to the ground. Paying to rehouse the Ferrero Rocher refugees as they become known. Move them to a new homeland. Oh, the irony is I voted for Brexit. I never thought. I didn't realise it would happen to me. No one will take me in now. I'm a refugee. What a fucking idiot I was. Paying people to build structurally sound, inhabitable pyramids out of chocolate. Paying people just to make the Ferrero Rocher chocolates in the first place. Think how many hazelnuts that will require. The whole world's agriculture will be dedicated to 1 nut. I won't be able to afford this. I'll have to enslave the nation and then the world in a grotesque confectionery parody of the way the original pyramids were built. On the plus side, Ferrero Rocher can do pretty well out of this. I'm going to buy some shares now. It's the only way to avoid the Ferrero Rocher serfdom of 2060. You'll be able to buy your way out. The point is, I guess, romance is all well and good, and that first explosion of love is an exciting time, isn't it? But maybe true love's a bit more prosaic. It's about making things work on a day-to-day level, trading off, making compromises. Once that first flush of love has died down a little to a manageable level, it's kind of less romantic, isn't it? The way we have to keep a relationship going, but in a way it's more romantic that we still tried to do it once that explosion of love has fallen away. The first time I did that routine, well, the first time my wife saw it, she said, I love the Ferrero Rocher routine because it's a completely true story. She said, was I supposed to keep all of the chocolates? Because she doesn't also with this year, I ate all of those. So, what do you mean you meant to keep them and build the pyramid? She said I didn't understand. And what part of that didn't you understand? What did you think we were doing? That was the whole point. There's nothing I can do. If I fuck this up, I'm in the doghouse month. Because it's the girl fella, you have to suck it up. That's, what are you doing? Are you building the Ferrero Rocher pyramid in your stomach now? Is that your new ambition? Are you shitting out Ferrero Rocher chocolate shit? Made only out of shit. You shit already after eating Ferrero Rocher chocolate and nothing else. And then moulding that into some kind of gigantic, dirty protest chocolate shit pyramid. Because to be honest, I didn't spot that on your original list of ambitions. It must have been near the bottom. Was it near the bottom? You fucking... So, I don't think we really understood homosexuality when we were kids, did we? I can't make all of this fit together seamlessly, mate. It's different shows. The gears are going to grind a little bit. It's only you and me notice that sharp, and it's fine. I don't think we knew homosexuality existed. I don't think we were really aware of what it was. I think that's a shame. If you've got kids, just explain this stuff and be open, answer their questions. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. Otherwise, they make up their own ideas. Now, I think that's where homophobia begins, through ignorance. But I think it's clear we didn't understand homosexuality as kids from the sign we generally use as children to indicate that a man was gay. It was generally that, wasn't it? It was a sign indicative of homosexuality, which I would say shows a fairly basic misunderstanding of the homosexual love act, I think. As kids must imagine, if 2 men fell in love, they'd go to a room somewhere and take off their clothes. Stand facing opposite each other, approximately 1 foot apart, on average. They just very gently bump the end of their erect penises together, over and over again, until achieving orgasm in maybe 3 or 4 months. It's weird because we understood heterosexual sex as kids, didn't we? The sign we used for heterosexual sex was that. That's vaguely accurate from what I recall. I don't know why I'm asking you, but I guess we understood homosexual sex, the correct hand sign, what hand sign we should have used to indicate that a man was gay. People like this, wouldn't it? People like... It's a beautiful expression of love between two people. Come on, let's not be childish about it. Which, to be honest with you, that does make homosexuality look a lot more appealing than that. And had we had the correct information, more's been willing to give that go. I thought it was that. If I'd known it was that, I'd have tried out being gay for a couple of weeks just to see how that panned out for me on the post, not the letterbox, though, mate. So it's... A teacher should have come over and gone, that's not what they do, you fucking idiots. That's what they get up to. That's what they do, the lucky bastards. Not just on their birthday. Every day of the year. That's better than a floppy old vagina, isn't it, nigga? Get some purchase on that, can you? To be honest, I don't think we really understood lesbian sex either, because the sign we used as a kid to indicate that a woman was gay was generally that, because it was generally, I think, shows a fairly basic misunderstanding of the lesbian love act. I think as kids we must imagine if two women fell in love, they'd go to a room somewhere, take off their clothes, go to opposite ends of the room, then run at each other, vagina first, smashing their genitalia together, crashing their pudenda back, crunching their pink curtains back, so achieving orgasm or breaking their pelvis, whichever came first. I guess when it comes to lesbian sex, the correct sign we should use to indicate that a woman was gay. And if you see any kids doing this wrong, mate, do go up and correct them, okay? You won't get into any kind of trouble, don't worry. That's what I told Rolf Harris. So the more accurate hand sign to indicate that a woman was gay, more like this one, more like... As is my understanding. One of the instructional videos I had a chance to cross. So it's a point when I'm doing that. I'm 49 years old. It's my job to come to Barnard Heath, stand in a made-up venue in a made-up town, licking my own hand whilst fondling my own imaginary, semi-imaginary Christmas. My dad's proud of me because he isn't. He's ashamed. So. Who is it who says potato anyway? Because someone should tell them they're definitely pronouncing potato wrong. You might think, oh, it's not a big deal, let's maintain the status quo, let's call the whole thing off. No, they're definitely saying potato incorrectly, and someone has to tell them. You might think, oh, it doesn't matter, let them carry on saying potato, you can still basically understand what they're trying to say. You have to think, 5 years down the line, that bloke's in a snooty restaurant about to propose to the woman he loves. A snooty waiter comes over, takes his order, he goes, oh, by the way, does that come with potatoes? The waiter's going to snigger, the woman's going to think, I'm not marrying this bloke, he can barely speak. Go out to your potato saying friend, come here mate, help him out, go, look mate, what would you call that? Okay, well that's an easy question. I'm looking forward to answering that because I know the correct answer. The name of the item is commonly referred to by is the potato. No, mate, it isn't though. You're the only person in the world who calls it that. Everyone else pronounces it potato. You're just saying it wrong. I'm helping you. That's just a matter of pronunciation, isn't it? It's like you say tomato, I say tomato. It's exactly the same. No, it's not. It's not a tomato situation. Because some people do say tomato. They're incorrect to do that. Well, we can at least have an art. There's a discussion to be had of the pronunciation of that word. You're the only person in the world who says potato. You mean different for different sake. I mean, I'm all for the evolution of language, but you can't just start making up your own pronunciations of words as you fancy, or language will break down. Where will it end? I say banana, you say banani. I say pomegranate, you say kumquat. It's got to be the same. Or language doesn't work, it's potato. The only person in the world who might conceivably say potato apart from you is Inspector Clouseau. You're not the good Peter Sellers Inspector Clouseau, the evil Steve Martin pissing in the grave of a genius Inspector. What kind of arrogance or greed or stupidity could make a man think, yeah, I'll have a crack at Inspector Clouseau? No one's really nailed that part yet. I'll be the best at that. People remember me in that role. Don't make excuses for him. He did it before. He did it with Bilko. What a fucking cunt. And he's wrong, the French don't say potato, I wish they did. Instead of saying potato or potato, the French call that, a potato, a pomme de terre, which literally translates as apple of the ground. That is not a good description of a potato. A potato and an apple, I know we're in the north, so look, I brought one along. That's what an apple is. They're very different. It's like disappointing there. I saw you were staring at all the way through the... What's he doing? Just been focused down there, haven't you? What's he got down there? Looks like a baby holding an apple. It's just an apple. They're very different. They're both foodstuffs. That's as far as it goes. What does that mean? A lasagna is a lion bar of the oven? I don't know. A potato, an apple's a fruit, a potato's a tuber, an apple's green, a potato's brown. A raw apple tastes delicious, a raw potato tastes like a man's semen. I imagine. I've never eaten a raw potato, so see how I tricked you with my comedic skill? I took you one way and then bang, I flipped your word upside down. I can still, you're still reeling from that, you can't believe it. No one could have anticipated me, don't worry, no one could have seen that. That was my comedic, so I'm going to confound you again with the same sentence. I've never eaten a man's semen either. Just a monkey semen. It's got to be the same basic taste, right? It's 98% the same DNA. I've only had half a glass. I think it's enough to tell. I think we have to satirise the French because they're wrong. That's not an apple of the ground, right? Everyone in the English-speaking world has to do this for this to work. From now on, everyone in the English-speaking world has to start referring to apples as potatoes of the sky. Which is factually incorrect, but I think that's a better name for apple than apple. Sky potato. That would liven Genesis up a bit, wouldn't it? Do you want a sky potato, Eve? Yeah, of course I fucking do. Sounds like something off Star Trek. Give it to me now, let it straight away, save a couple of pages. This book needs editing down, it's overlong at best. It's only God and J.K. Rowling, you don't seem to understand, you do require an editor of some kind. Maybe Ben Elton a bit as well, but with him, just a second draft would be quite nice, wouldn't it? Just to be vaguely read through what he'd just written just once, just to check it wasn't complete fucking shit. The reason this is good satire of the French, you have to imagine little French boys in school learning English. The teacher comes in one day, says, "Voici la pomme." Mais en Angleterre, on dit la pomme de terre de ciel. So the little French kid will say in French, wait, what? The English literally call an apple of the ground of the sky. I mean, that's stupid. Just call it an apple. Don't go through that rigmarole. It's just an apple. Just call it an apple. The English language is stupid. The English are ridiculous. At which point I will burst into the classroom. Say, no, little French boy. It's you. It's ridiculous. You and the entire French-speaking world. What in a potato of the ground. By the way, it doesn't resemble at all. The rest of the world will laugh at you. Think you're an idiot. I've just satirised you and everyone you know. Your mum, your dad. Monsieur Lucas at the boulangerie. Oh yeah. Got him. Made you right fucking idiots. How'd you like them, Sky Potato? So it's lovely being married out, so I'm very happy to... I look at the way I behaved in the past, you know, it's just so nice to be now in a monogamous relationship because I'm sort of ashamed. I look back at the way I was behaving 10 years ago. I was just night after night, different person, nameless, faceless, strangers, just meaningless sex. It's so shallow, it's pathetic. It did make me very happy. It was awesome. My favourite bit was when I ejaculated. That was always the high point. My least favourite bit was about 30 seconds after I ejaculated. It's filled with shame, but it passed. But when you are in a long-term relationship with the same person, it's very important to keep your love life varied, isn't it? Because when you're with the same person day in, day out, you get a bit of a rut, then you can learn the tricks that turn each other on. You get a bit monotonous, it's kind of mad, the same ridiculous face gurning down at you night after night, the same pallid, flabby body bouncing around. It can be slightly nauseating, can't it? If you're honest, occasionally you're a little bit sick in the back of your throat looking at it, aren't you? You have to swallow the sick because it's considered rude to vomit during intercourse, so you're there with this disgusting spectacle of the taste of vomit. I want to say spice things up a bit to avoid that if you can. I've got a few suggestions for you. The first thing you might try is a bit of bondage, sex act, it's a new thing just in. What you do, you get some ropes, some chains, you tie your lover very tightly to the bed or radiator. And then you go out and fuck someone else. So that's interesting, it's a variety of sexual partners, that's what I go for. You know your partner's safely ensconced up there by the radiator, they can't get out of those chains, it's the perfect crime. When you get back, oh, I forgot you're up here, sorry. I forgot the immersion was coming back on. So I was in a long-term relationship a few years ago. Me and my girlfriend at the time were going through a bit of a sexual malaise, just like you two, honestly. It doesn't just happen to you, it happens to everyone, so you're not strange. She had an idea how we could spice up our lovemaking. She said, why don't we get a Mars bar, you know, the Mars bar sweet. We can melt that down into a paste, a little bowl on the stove, and then we can smear that over each other's genitals and lick it off. I said, seems like a bit of a waste of a perfectly good Mars bar, certainly. The thing is, Mars bars taste really nice. They're delicious. Whilst genitals, they tend to taste a bit sort of genitally, don't they? So, I mean, you would improve that genital taste by smearing some Mars bar on it. I would argue the Mars bar taste itself would be impaired by the genitals you mentioned. The way I look at it, if Mr. Mars had wanted his Mars bars to taste of genitals, he'd have put some genitals in the recipe, wouldn't he? Like the bloke who invented scampi fries did. Such great commercial success. I didn't want to do that. I had an idea we could spice up our lovemaking. I said, why don't you bring your best friend to bed with us, eh? 3 in a bed. Yeah. Menage a trois. Them lesing up. She said to me, you've got enough problems satisfying one woman at a time. What makes you think you could cope with 2? Thought she got me there, girl, so that was clever. She was so wrong. I said, well, that's the entire beauty of the system. When I'm done, you two can finish each other off for me, whilst I sleep. A woman knows what a woman wants, and has the patience to see it through to its tedious conclusion. She finished with me shortly after that conversation, so then I was just having one in a bed sex. Menage a which worked out great for me because I forgot I really like to have sex with someone that I pity. So it's everyone was happy. I do have quite a lot of material on this subject. I did a whole show, of course, called Talking Cock, which was everything you want to know, quite a few things you probably didn't want to know about the spam javelin, the flute of love, the bald-headed mouse, the purple-headed womb broom, Jack the Dripper, Spurt Reynolds, the pink lighthouse that wants to draw you onto its rocks. I'm going to carry on doing this till you all find it amusing. It's best just to humour me. I literally have 1,000 of them. The honourable member for fucking... I did an internet survey. It was an anonymous questionnaire. There was one for men, one for women. About 15,000 people took part in this all in all. It got some astonishing answers and statistics from it. I just want to share one of the answers with you. I asked men on the website, where have you put your penis for fun? I kind of wish I hadn't asked that with the benefit of hindsight. What I wish I'd ask is, where haven't you put your penis for fun? We'd now be enjoying the interval, because there would literally be 0 answers. The very first person to respond to the questionnaire, number 1 on my computer, said, in a vagina. Where else is there? I wish an unimagined man could read the 8,500 answers that immediately follow his. I would say answering that question in a bit too much detail is just a selection for you. In a shampoo bottle, in a milk bottle, in a glass of wine. I believe that's what's known in the trade as a cock oven. Raw steak, classy. Jelly spooned into a toilet roll. Now, I don't know about you, what particularly delights me about that answer is the jelly is very specifically spooned in, right? You can't pour it in just for its sex, don't be stupid, the consistency would be all wrong. You can't scoop it in with your hands, come on. You wouldn't want to get jelly all over your fingers. Spoon it in. The more I do this bit, the more I get very clear mental image of the bloke actually doing this. He works quite methodically, he's slightly hunched. Look of anticipation on his face. No, wait, it's frustration. He's been waiting a while for that jelly to set. He's going to show that jelly who the daddy is now. In a Hoover, but of course in a Hoover we've all done that, that is normal. Between the mattress and the metal frame of the bed, comes up an astonishing amount of times through a hole in the fence. Everybody needs good neighbours. Various teddy bears as a child. Oh, various ones, not all of them. Some of them he didn't love. Don't go away thinking he's some kind of teddy bear whore. In my sister-in-law. Always one man in every audience slightly impressed by that, I have to say. Loo rolls, not very good. Of course not, mate. You forgot to fill in with jelly, didn't you? That's the schoolboy error. With a spoon, mate. Oh, you've wrecked that jelly. Then use the ladle. The pieces are too big. In the top of a novelty-shaped bubble bath, it was shaped like the children's character Noddy. As if that dished information some excuses his behaviour. He was staring at me with his big eyes, his bell. What normal man could resist it? It's worse than it's not. He's a little boy, leave him alone. Big ears, fair enough. He's well over the age of consent. He likes that rough stuff. That's how he got the big ears. In the back of a folding metal chair, in a car exhaust pipe. Picture the car's got to be moving at the time without being able to check. In a hollowed out cucumber. What kind of a world are we living in where a man is so desperate for sexual release he will hollow out a cucumber? It's not the strongest vegetable when it has this filling inside it. Or does it work to make presumably gentle love to him? Is that like a man who's just locked in a room for 3 weeks with nothing but a cucumber? Because if you're locked in a room with a cucumber and you were horny, you'd stick it up your arse, wouldn't you? You're not going to start whittling away at it, see if you can fuck it. I think maybe his penis is just a bit tired. He thought this would be like a rejuvenating health spa treatment. In a fat Irish gingerbird in Benidorm. She'd had a Brazilian that looked like a fish finger. I won a bottle of Malibu for that. He was handing out bottles of Malibu as a price for having sex with ginger girls. I'm up for that, it's a win-win situation. In the bottom of a Vosine bottle, neatly cut off and moulded over the kitchen stove, with a little soap for lubricant. That's not one you just chance across, that one, is it? You don't trip and fall onto one of those. That is years of experimentation, needing what I'm guessing is the perfect synthesis of the vagina. If that news gets out, girls, obsolete. This is my favourite one. Under a PlayStation controller with the rumble function switched on. Whilst driving over the muddy bits on Conor McRae's rally. But perhaps most worryingly for me, rubbed against my computer screen whilst filling in this question. I could go on, there are thousands more. I'm going to spare you the terrible details of what I've had to endure on your behalf. I have stared into the abyss, knowing that some man somewhere has definitely tried to put his cock into it. So, that's the best joke in the first half, for my money. No one in my life laughs at it, but I've been doing stand-up comedy for 30 years now, and my sense of humour is better than yours. And all the other audiences who've seen that routine. And that is the best joke so far. So you are wrong. We'll come back to the interval now. I'll go and have a drink and a wee. Usually, it's hard to get out of, isn't it? Usually someone's dashing out to see if there are any empty loo rolls in the toilet. Again, stuff full of jelly babies. If anyone buys you a drink during the interval, a glass of wine, do make sure you see the journey from the bar to your hand. That's all I'm saying. You've been lovely so far. It's been weird, I have to tell you. It's been a little bit weird. I think in a good way. So, I'll see you in this kind of Planet of the Apes style arena. There'll be some fighting, I imagine. In about 15 minutes. Thank you very much. See you there. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back the amazing Richard Herring! I wouldn't say amazing. Think about that guy, sees all the shows, doesn't he, that guy? So. Quite a compliment, isn't it? So, to be or not to be? That is the first and only question on the University of Beekeeping entrance exam. The answer is A to B, if you want to get in. which is amusing because it's an easy question. Again, you should have laughed more at that. I've got to find a way to determine the length of man's penis. You'll be glad you came for this, ladies. There's a lot of old wives' tales about this. A lot of people say the size of man's hands is indicative, but I've got freakishly tiny hands, so that cannot be true. They're very small. I'm not far away. That's my actual hand right there. It's tiny. I went to Harry Potter World a couple of years ago. They got the handprints of the young stars. You can put in concrete. You can put your own hand into them, and I promise you this is true. That hand is the exact same size and shape as Hermione's from Harry Potter. I'm a hand twin, which is good because if the comedy dries up, I can travel the country providing a different service for you pay for that, wouldn't you, mate? I can see that. If you closed your eyes, that's the exact same experience as the adult Hermione. Well, so I'm not going to start wanking off blokes who want to be wanked off by the child Hermione. I'm not catering for perverts, just men who want to be wanked off by a man with the same size hands as the adult Hermione. Normal men. If you want to find out what it's like to be wanked off by me, get Emma Watson to give you a hand job. Close your eyes, it's the same. That will work too. Oh, the best way to determine the length of a man's penis, 100% guaranteed, is to get to show it to you and then measure at the ruler. That will always work. So, it's weird doing a show about being the best, because the being the best, I think most of us are aiming to be the best at what we do, but it's subjective, isn't it, in most cases? It's impossible to ever get there. Even if you get there, are you ever going to stay there? It's a subjective thing. I mean, a lot of people think that Stuart Lee is the best stand-up comedian in the world. He's not even the best stand-up comedian in his family. So, just true. It's just true. So, before we crack on, I'll be out through those doors. I'm very excited to go through. I haven't been through there yet. See that for the, that'll be the reveal of the joke at the end when Jodie Beagle's through there. Not Tenrich, she was always. But I'll be through there after show. I'm very happy to say hello. I'm very happy to sign your programme. I'm very happy to do a selfie with you if you're under 30. If you're over 30, you do not know how to operate a camera phone. Please don't embarrass yourself. I'm trying to do so. I'm also selling some stuff. It's very easy for me to tell you what that stuff is now, but also it's an excuse to do some jokes from the more recent shows, which don't really feature in this show. Last year's show is out on DVD. It's called Happy Now. It's about whether becoming a dad finally has made me happy. Because they told me the birth of my daughter would be the happiest day of my life, and I believe them. I thought it'd be magical, this tiny human being connecting the past and the future, proof of my fecund godlike powers of creativity. But I have to say, from start to finish, the birth of my daughter was the most horrific day of my life. Whoever said it was the happiest day of their life hated their partner and wanted to see them in horrendous pain. Robbie Williams said that watching his wife give birth was like watching his favourite pub burn down. I don't know what that says about Robbie Williams' attitude to his wife, or vaginas generally, but more pertinently, his favourite pub. I mean, what's going on in Robbie Williams' folklore? It's anything like having sex with his wife. There's something weird going on there. I mean, the pub's not destroyed, Robbie. It's maybe closed for a month for renovation. You can still drink in there, that's my point. I would say watching your wife give birth was like watching someone I loved very dearly being tortured internally for 15 hours by someone that I also loved even though I'd never met them, so I couldn't punch them in the face. I'm very squeamish, I was not looking forward to the birth. I was at the non-business end. But there's no way of escaping the visceral horror of how we enter this world. It's horrific. I think for a man watching his partner give birth, I think it's the most horrific and painful experience any human being ever has to go through. I can't. My daughter wasn't turning her head properly in the birth canal, which is not as romantic a place as it sounds. So someone had to come into the room, reach into my wife like it was all creatures great and small, and then manually twist my daughter's head. Then they got a plunger, which I'm presuming came out of the toilet, and they stuck out my daughter's head, started yanking her out. That can't be genuine medical procedure. They must just get bored in the midwife department and go, what should we do to spice things up? Say, oh, pop the loo, pick out a plunger. Who said the only way you can deliver a baby is by pulling them out like they're in a cartoon? It was orange. I mean, it was medical equipment, they make it blue or something. very unhappy about all of this. I knew babies cried once they were born. Seriously, my daughter was crying before she was born. As she was emerging, she was so furious. It was yelling, I could hear her coming. I wasn't sure if I'd love her straight away, and I did not love her straight away. And she was this twisted up, furious little I hated her. I'm trying to push her back up there, not as frowned upon. None of it looked real. The special effects were genuinely equal to the original Total Recall. That's what she just had. She was horrific. And she cried for the first hour of her life non-stop. I thought, what have I done? God, I've got 18 years of this. I thought my penis was my friend. But after that first hour, she stopped crying. She's a very happy baby, as it turns out, which is the good news. But I held her in my arms after that first hour, and that's when the bond of love did start to grow. I have to say, I've loved my daughter more every single day since I've met her. I've never experienced anything like this, because usually with love it starts really big, doesn't it? And then it just dissipates gradually, day by day, like the air coming out of a balloon until there's literally nothing left. So, for it to head in the other direction is scary. And a lot of people worried that me having a baby would change the way I am as a comedian. You know, I've done quite a lot of edgy material. I've done lots of jokes about paedophilia and paedophiles and stuff. And a lot of parents said, "Oh, when you've got kids of your own, you won't do those jokes anymore. You won't find paedophilia funny anymore when you've got your own kids." I thought that was ridiculous. It wasn't going to change me. But I can't believe they were right. I really am surprised, because now I've got a kid, I've realised paedophilia is really bad, isn't it? I hadn't realised before I just, I thought it was a bit of a lark. It was a bit of a spree. When it was happening to other people's kids, who cares, But now it could happen to my daughter. That is awful, so I'd like to apologise for the terrible things that I have said. All these DVDs come with lots of extras, by the way. I really like all these. These are three of my favourite shows, but the ones I have on. We've got The Lord of the Dance Settee, which was the year before show, which was called that because when you're a kid, before you could read, you're taught songs by someone reading them to you. You learn them that way. Consequently, when I was 5, I genuinely believed that the lyrics of the jaunty hymn Lord of the Dance were dance, dance wherever you may be, for I am the Lord of the Dance Settee. So I imagined that Jesus had a massive sofa up in heaven. He could dance on anytime he wanted, not get told off by the grown-ups. But if anyone tried to go up on the sofa and dance with him, he'd go, "No, get off! I am the Lord of the Dance Settee." That's actually a very accurate impression of Jesus. If you knew Jesus, you'd be applauding that, because that was like he was here in the room then. I mean, obviously he is in the room, but that was like he was he's definitely in the room. "No, get up! I can dance on the Dance Settee." That's how he's very selfish in real life. He's not like very different than he comes across in the books, I have to say. But he's the show's also got they have a favourite, they have a perennial, the curse of the world's oldest person has struck again. I don't know if you've seen this. It's every time anyone achieves that amazing accolade, they're dead within months. It's terrifying when you... I hope I'm never the oldest person in the world. It's a death sentence, I tell you. And talking of which, the year before show was called We're All Going to Die. It's the perfect birthday gift for an elderly relative. It's trying to look at the positive side of death, because it's a good thing that we die. I don't think we look at it like this, but it is good that we die. Because if we didn't die, the world would get pretty full pretty quickly. You think it's bad enough now walking down the high street with a couple of old age pensioners getting in your way? Imagine if there were hordes of Neanderthal men hobbling along, going, "I remember when all this was Pangea." Always gets a decent laugh, but of course, Pangea broke up over 300 million years ago. The earliest recorded Neanderthal man is maybe 450,000 years ago. That is a wildly historically inaccurate joke. If you laughed at that, you're not as clever as you think you are. And if you can't choose, I've got a best of DVD, which is my favourite routine from my first 9 shows. Some of the stuff's from this show, there's some other stuff in there as well. I didn't think you'd want a 40-minute routine about yogurt tonight, so if you want that, that's on there. There's 2.5 hours of material on here, and it's just a £5, so that's a nice little taster. Oops. There, you can have that one. I dropped it on the floor now, it's no good. And after 20 years, the seminal BBC 2-series Fist of Fun has finally been released on DVD. The BBC wouldn't bring this out themselves, they said it was too funny. They were concerned people would buy this and then say, "Why are we buying Mrs. Brown's Boys DVDs? What is wrong with this? Literally, what is wrong with our brains?" So me and Shirley and Chris Evans, not that one, had to buy the rights from the BBC to put this out. It cost us £50,000. So. We must be walked. Well, I don't think we're even really. I'm not sure. The rights have run out. We've nearly run out of DVDs. This is all we've got left are these. The first series, which is the Superior series, in this luxury set, which has 4 discs with lots of behind-the-scenes stuff, interviews with us now, and stuff that got cut out. So that was the fun. Some of the money from that does go to Stuart and me. Even though the same amount of money goes to me, I would still prefer it if you didn't buy that. But buy them quick, they're literally, I think this will be the last time we have them. If you want to get that, and then they won't be out again. I do lots of podcasts, you may know, and we're trying to fund them all the time because they cost lots of money. So what we've got this time is we've got some DVDs from the Kickstarter campaigns we did. We've got one from Rahula more than I expected, this is me interviewing myself on the stage of the Leicester Square Theatre by moving from one chair to the other, pretending I'm 2 different people for an hour in front of a confused and increasingly angry audience. But if you want to find out if I prefer a ham hand or a sun cream armpit, that's the only way to find out. And there's also some of the backstage interviews we did with the proper stars there as well, which shows off right now. And there's an AR one as well. We're doing an internet series of this, which is coming out very soon for free. You'll be able to watch it all online. Just there's links in the programme, but check out my website. The 6-hour, probably hour-long stand-up and sketch show things. But this has got like a little taster of that and some of the making behind-the-scenes stuff, plus all the 34 hours of audio we did before this year that you can go online as well. But those are 2 for 10 of those as well, so that's nice. And if you want to just spend £1, we've got these badges. One says Rahula per patron, and no one. And soon they forget. One's got my catchphrase on it. I know people have been shouting it all the way through the. Oh, let's do the cat. We're only here for the catchphrase. I don't want to do the catchphrase. No, I'm bigger than the catchphrase. No, please do the catchphrase. The catchphrase. I'll do it just this once. It's on this badge. You can probably read it there, madam. It's yeah, I sure love motorcycling around. Something motorcycling on an old bike, but not me. I say we're pedaling around. But you're on a bike that doesn't need to be pedaled more than an engine and stuff. I'm just sick of people shouting at me in the street. I'm sick of it. So the money from those will go to the podcast, but as I said, I'm very happy to say that you don't have to buy anything. Now in this second half, I want to look at some of the more controversial stuff I've done, and because I've done some big subjects like we're all going to die. A lot of people feel you shouldn't joke about death. Most of them came to see We're All Going to Die in Windsor. But I think you have to laugh at death. I think it's our only power to laugh in its face while our hearts are still beating and our jaws are still attached. We stop laughing when we're dead. Let's not stop laughing whilst we're still alive. I think it gives us a power to laugh at what we fear if we do it in the right way. And I don't think laughing at death is anywhere near as bad as the way that death gets treated seriously in our culture, which no one complains about as long as it's in earnest and everything thinks that's all right. But if you look at the tabloid coverage of celebrity deaths or shooting sprees, it's over the top. It's intrusive. It's almost pornographic in its detail. Even the proper news is more concerned with death than with life, which I think is weird. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. I think being serious and joking isn't as bad as some of the things that happen seriously. I was in Glasgow Airport a few years ago. I don't know if you've been there. The security there is amazing. Before I even got to the terminal, I saw 4 policemen with machine guns. I mean, I assume they were there to protect any terrorists from attacks by Glaswegians. But I went to WH Smith to pick up a magazine for the flight. Now, this is a genuine magazine. I have not mocked this up. If I had mocked this up as a joke, I think you'd be furious with me. But it's not mocked up. It's a real magazine that was on the shelves of WH Smith's and nobody batted an eyelid. It's a genuine magazine called Railways and the Holocaust. Bit of a niche interest, that one, isn't it? So I'd like to see the person in the centre of that Venn diagram. I think it's quite cynical. I think the publisher said, you know what I've noticed is very popular? Train spotting magazines. You know what's also pretty popular? Magazines about World War II, especially if you can squeeze the Nazis in there somehow. Is there any way at all we can get both of those issues into one best-selling magazine? It's called Railways and the Holocaust, not Railways of the Holocaust, so I'm presuming it's about either of those subjects in general. Anything about railways or the Holocaust is welcome in Railways and the Holocaust. One page, Auschwitz, turn over, Flying Scotsman. You have to like both of those things, mate. You can't just buy this for the Holocaust articles. You buy your own Holocaust magazine if that's what you're interested in. This is only for people who like railways and the Holocaust. It's not for you. I'm not interested in either of those subjects. I'm hoping someone will bring out a magazine based on my twin interests of pedalos and the civil war in Rwanda. Or tuk-tuks and the extermination of the Native American people. Or the Sinclair C5 and the victims of Dr. Harold Shipman. I think a few of you are sitting there going, oh come on Richard Herring, you're being deliberately obtuse. This is clearly a magazine about the transport system that took Hitler's victims to the death camps. Is that any less sick than one Nazi obsessive train spots? That is an odd focus to take on the greatest crime in modern humanism, the railways. That wasn't really the significant bit of the Holocaust. That wasn't the main bit of the Holocaust. I don't think the journey there, I mean it was important, wasn't it, in getting Hitler's victims from one horrific situation to another even more horrific situation. That wasn't really the memorable bit, was it, the journey? That was, I don't think anyone was getting off those trains going, blimey, it was crowded on there, wasn't it? I'm glad we're here in Dakar, I can stretch our legs a bit now. I'm going to remember that train journey as long as I live. I tell you, it was... Don't get upset with jokes, this is real, not a joke. You won't all be able to see this, but I promise you this is true. The subheading of this magazine reads, "The Trains That Shamed the World." As if this whole thing was the fault of the method of transport used, rather than Hitler and his willing executions. The implication seems to be that these trains have let down the other less genocide-y trains by agreeing to take part in this awful crime against humanity. What were they thinking? Which trains they could have taken people to work or on holiday like the other trains? They could have been Thomas the Tank Engine. That would have been better than being part of a Holocaust, wouldn't it? The Nazi guards going, yeah, we just got on the trains. It was the trains that took us to Belsen. You know, we thought, while we're here, we better gas a couple of people. You know, we don't want to upset the trains after all the trouble they've been to. You know what they're like. To be honest, I don't care about any of the stuff I've just said. If that's all this was, I wouldn't have brought this up. You're busy people, I don't want to waste your time. The thing that annoys me about Railways and the Holocaust is that the publishers refer to this as a bookazine. They're trying to confer some kind of academic respectability onto this cynical tone by implying it's not like the other magazines. It's better than the other magazines. It's more like a book, if we're honest, isn't it? I mean, it's not so much like a book that W.S. Smith allowed to keep it with the other books due to its glossy paper, its magazine-like dimensions, and the fact that it is a magazine. It sits snootily amongst the other magazines, proclaiming its superiority. I'm not like you, I'm not a magazine like you, I'm much better than you. I am a bookazine. Has Railways and the Holocaust not read itself? Has it not learned what happens when one thing starts to treat other similar things as inferior to it for no reason, where that will inevitably lead? You'll see soon there'll be pogroms at the publications, there'll be bonfires at the Vanity Fairs. First, they came for practical caravanning. I didn't speak out. I like impractical caravanning. And then they came for big jugs. It's just not the most respectful of formats. If you want to read about the Holocaust, at least have the decency to read a whole fucking book about it. Oh no, I don't really have time to read a whole book about the Holocaust. You've got something a bit shorter for me. Not as short as a magazine. I wouldn't want to disrespect the victims. Something more bookazine length would be ideal for me. No, not about the whole thing. I don't have time, is there? It seems a bit morbid. Is there anything just about the journey there? What people can see out the window. It's not a bookazine, because a bookazine isn't a thing, it's a magazine. Why are these people trying to invent non-existent reading formats and shame inanimate objects? I don't blame the publishers in this, I don't blame the people who bought it. I blame the printing presses that put this together. How can they allow themselves to print such heinous material? Shame the world. On a similar theme, I did a few years ago, I did a show called Hitler Moustache, in which I attempted to reclaim the toothbrush moustache, as it should be called, for comedy, because Charlie Chaplin had it first, then Hitler came along, kind of ruined it for everyone. It's probably the worst thing he ever did. The show actually had quite an important, serious message. It was about the importance of using your democratic right to vote, not abstaining or spoiling the vote. Because if you do that, the danger is that right-wing politicians and ideas can proliferate. So it's a good job we did that show, isn't it? Oh, we'd be in a lot of trouble now. If we were Hitler Moustache, I'd like to see the world. I am saved it there with that little show. I grew the moustache and I had it on my face for a year because I needed it for the show, so I had to have it out in the real world as well. It was terrifying. I was worried I'd get beaten in. All that happened, really, people laughed at me in a sort of weird way. One guy, it was midnight, I was walking along on my own, and a white van man came out of his van and said, "Well done, mate, you're a man after my own heart," which that was the worst thing about it. But I was worried the moustache might make me evil, because maybe it was the moustache that was to blame for all this. It was quite nice before he grew it when he just did painting and stuff, so maybe there's some totemistic power to it. I was quite concerned that the moustache might make me racist. That was a big concern for me, because I am not a racist. But, having grown the moustache, I did start to wonder if maybe the racists had a point. No, I thought this would go down a lot better post-Brexit up here. I thought we'd be on the are there any racists in tonight, just by cheering? There never are, I don't think they exist. Oh, maybe there are some racists in here, but you're not going to admit it, because thankfully it's one of the worst things you can be, correctly. But I think the problem is, right, we don't discuss this subject, right? You say, oh, you can't be racist, you mustn't say racist stuff. That's not enough. You have to stop people being racist, right? You don't just shut them up, which is easy, using arguments, because racism is fucking stupid. But if you just tell them, you know, they don't know how to say stuff, then it will all come out in the ballot box like so much fucking pus. So we have to talk about these subjects, not be scared of discussing them, because they throw out some interesting questions. Like, for example, if a guy said to you he hated all black people, I think you despise that guy straight away. But if a guy said to you he hated all of humanity, you'd prefer that guy to the guy who only hates the black people. Even though this guy, he still hates all the black people, don't you think about it? But he also hates everyone else as well. At least this guy likes someone, there's some love in his heart, there's some hope for him. But you're right, there's no logic to hating someone based on the colour of their skin. There is a logic to hating all of humanity. Believe me, I work with you every night. You're scum. In reality, I'm a winning liberal. I'm guessing you think the same as me. Do chip in if you don't. But I believe everyone in the world's the same. What we want is everyone to be treated the same, regardless of the colour of their skin, their sex, their sexuality. Ultimately, we're aiming for a world where everyone has the same opportunities and is treated the same as the same. But being a liberal throws up some problems, doesn't it? I've got this friend. His dad is English, but his mum is from Asia somewhere. I can never quite remember exactly where she's from. It's like Malaysia or Indonesia, the Philippines. It's somewhere like that. I should know. He's one of my best friends. It's an embarrassing thing to me that I don't know. I can't ask him. I've known him for too long. It would be awful. It's a source of massive liberal guilt to me. I don't know the heritage of my friend. But to a racist, my friend is just Chinese, isn't he? That's that problem sorted out. It doesn't matter that his dad's English. It doesn't matter that his mum's not Chinese. He's Chinese. That's that issue over. Let's move on with our lives. In fact, to a racist, pretty much anyone from Hawaii, right through Fiji, up through all the Australasian islands, Vietnam, Thailand, Siberia, even China and Tibet, this vast mass of humanity are all Chinese. Basically, 1 in 4 of the world's population just had a switch. They're all exactly the same. Is that awful, or is that kind of beautiful? Because you and I, we see the world as 195 different countries, 195 distinct types of people. To a racist, there are just 4 types of people. There are 191 closer than you to seeing everyone in the world as exactly the same. That's what you want. The racist is better at being liberal than you are. There's 4 types. There's Chinese, there's black, there's white. The 4th type's amazing. It's a beautiful vision of a possible utopian future. The 4th type encompasses anyone from the Indian subcontinent, right through the Middle East, North Africa, Southern Europe, even right through to Mexico, the Hispanic parts of South America. This vast swathe of humanity, all immediately identical. Basically anyone who can be played by the actor Nadeem Sawala. To a racist or a casting director, there is no difference. You can be from El Salvador or Iraq, you're the same. Isn't that what you want? Look at the people of India and Pakistan. They hate each other. They're always fighting. There could be nuclear war between those 2 countries that will destroy the world. If only the people of India and Pakistan could see themselves the way a racist. They'd say, what are we doing? Why are we fighting? I'm a Paki. You're a Paki. I'm from India, mate. Still a Paki, I am. most of the world's conflagrations happen with peoples that racists would see as identical. Israel, Palestine, they're all yids, why are they fighting? That's the same. Northern Ireland, Southern Ireland, they're all stupid paddies, why are they fighting? They're the same. Brexit versus Remain, we're all ignorant idiots with no idea of the complexities of that incredible issue, and we should never have been given the vote in the first place. But the most extreme racists in the world are just two types of people. You're either black or you're white. They're just one step away. Just one mental leap to make it. Everyone in the world will be exactly the same. You're 194 steps away from that utopia. Yeah, you dare judge that. You make me sick, you really do. But, I've also done a lot of material about religion, which again, many people think we shouldn't joke about, but I did a show called Christ on a Bike, in which I attempted to work out why I explore my relationship with Jesus as an atheist, because I was brought up as a Christian, but I've lost my faith. But I'm still very obsessed with Jesus, and I wanted to know why that was. You know, he appeals to me. I like him as a man. I think he has to be a man. If he's a god, then the things he said, the sacrifices he made are meaningless. But if he's a human being, he's an incredible guy. So I wanted to try and find the real historical Jesus, which is difficult, because there's, weirdly, given he's such a big figure, there's nothing in contemporary history about him, really. Even though, you know, that big star appearing in the sky, I think that might have made the local papers know. The killing all those kids, Herod killing those kids, that's not in any history books, that's weird. There's a couple of paragraphs about Jesus in Josephus, a Roman historian. Apart from that, there's nothing except in the New Testament. But there's a bit about Jesus in there. But that is written by Jesus' followers. Can we take the New Testament as gospel? Well, I'm not sure we can, because the gospel writers not only contradict each other, they openly contradict themselves. This is the very first page of the New Testament. You've probably seen this, Abraham begat Isaac, Isaac begat. This is surely the dullest first page of a book there's ever been. Imagine Matthew's publisher being greeted with this. Look, Matthew's a brilliant book, there's some amazing stuff in there. The birth scene is so cinematic, the star or the wise men, we can sell the film rights to this, no problem, it's going to be easy. The miracles, I mean, you stretch credulity, walking on water, it's like something out of Harry Potter, mate, but somehow I believed it, you pulled it off. The death scene, so poignant. Then the twist, he comes back to life. I did not see that coming. Plus, room for a sequel. I love the way you're thinking. I'm not pulling your chain. I think this might be the greatest story ever told. But I've only got one problem with the entire book. What's the problem? Just page one. What's wrong with page one? That's the best page in it. Well, Matthew, in the book trade, you've got to grab your reader on page one. They might pick this up in the airport. They'll read the first page, decide they want to buy the book. And I don't think this is very representative. It's boring. It's dull. It's dry. It's shit, Matthew. I mean, begat. Is that even a word? If it is a word, it's bad literary style. Just keep repeating the same word over and over again in the same sentence. Come up with some synonyms, make it flowery. Grammatically, you shouldn't start sentences with the word and. We can sort this out at the end. No, I'm not changing it, mate. This is the best bit in the book. I only wrote the book to get this bit in. If you don't put this on page one, you can't print anything. Well, I can't print this at the front, it's suicide. Well, begat you, mate. Go on, begat off. Go on, you're a begatting begatwit. You're a mother begatter. Right, you know that begat definitely doesn't mean fuck, right? Because if it does, this is the greatest first page of a book I've ever seen. We had a lot of fun there with the first page of the There weren't publishers in those days. There weren't airports, there weren't Harry Potter, I wasn't written in that. I was a crazy skit. We all laughed, didn't we, because it was hilarious and zany. But there's a reason this is here, and I pulled the wool over your eyes. I've ignored it. It's at the top. It says, the book of the generation, Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. What Matthew's doing, he's shown that Jesus is related to David and Abraham, which fulfills Old Testament prophecies of the Messiah and proves Jesus' divinity. So it looks a bit dry and silly when you don't know why it's there, but when you know the facts, it is actually a very important part of the Bible, and I think it is worth putting on page one. I think it's such an important passage of the Bible, I believe we should all know this off by heart. Be able to quote it at any time. I know that I do. Goes like this. And Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac begat Jacob, and Jacob begat Judas and his brethren. And Judas begat Phares and Zara of Tamar. And Phares begat Ezra, and Ezra begat Aram, and Aram begat Aminadab. And Aminadab begat Nason, and Nason begat Salmon. Come off it. A man named after a fish. Like that. And Salmon begat Booz of Rachab. And Boo's got Obed and Ruth, and Obed get Jesse, and Jesse get David the king. David the king begat Solomon, of her that had been the wife of Urias, naughty. Solomon begat Rehoboam, and Rehoboam begat Abner, and Abner begat Asa, and Asa begat Joseph, and Joseph begat Joram, and Joram begat Ozias. That's the only Australian in the entire Bible. Also begat Jotham, and Jotham begat Achaz, and Achaz begat Zekas, and Zekas begat Manasseh, and Manasseh begat Amon, and Amon begat Josias, and Josias begat Jeconias, and his brethren. About the time they were carried away to Babylon. Be quite specific up there with the details. I can't be quite sure the exact date that happened. Could have been either end of the weekend. And after they were brought to Babylon, Jeconias begat Salath, and Salath begat Zorobabel, and Zorobabel begat Abiah, and Abiah begat Eliakim, and Eliakim begat Azor, and Azor begat Sadok, and Sadok begat Achim, and Achim begat Eliab, and Eliab begat Eliezer, and Eliezer begat Mathan, and Mathan begat Jacob, and Jacob begat Joseph, and Joseph begat Jacob begat Jacob, and Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was Lord Jesus, who is called Christ. I think I do all right. Maybe that's Mathan. Got a job, and look, guys, you've been really nice tonight, and like this is such a weird place, and I don't think the news will even get out of here. I feel this is one of the last times I'm going to do this routine, and you know, I will tell you. If you promise not to tell, there's obviously, I think some of you realise there's a trick to this, right? Okay, I don't usually say this, but there's no way someone could learn all that. That would be insane. You can do this yourself if you want to impress your friends. If you've got friends that will be impressed by that. Seriously, all we have to do with this little trip is remember the very simple acronym. Abi, Judge of Javash, Pasot, Abi, Ribar, Remember, Saskin, Bora, Object, Jupiter, Kepta, Kimmerson, Futu, US, Bra, Ribar, Judge, Judge, Barbie, Edman, Barber, Judge, back to Cat, Bar, to Jumps, as Barbie, Ribar, Edman, Judge, Bunch, Tom, Woodbridge, Whittaker, it's easy now, isn't it? It's literally, it's the first letters of all the... So kind of it spoils it when you know it's done. I won't be repeating that again. So we had a lot of fun there with the first page of the New Testament. Remember when we did the thing with the publisher when we all laughed? Do you remember that? And then, do you remember when we did the acronym? It's literally just happened. What's wrong with you guys? Look, well, we had some fun, but look, a lot of people believe this is the actual word of God. It's the divine text, and I'm not here to mock anyone's beliefs, all right? We've had some fun with it. It looks dry when you don't understand it. But when you know why it's there showing Jesus' divinity. It looks boring, but it's not boring. It's an important passage of the Bible. And I think it is, when you know the truth and you know the facts, I think it is worth putting that on, or joking aside, I think it's worth putting that on the first page of the book. Until you remember the fact that Joseph, do you remember Joseph? He's quite near there, it's just Joseph at the bottom. He isn't Jesus' dad, is he? In the very next paragraph of Matthew, he goes on to reveal that Mary was impregnated by the Holy Ghost. So, if Jesus isn't related to Joseph, he isn't related to any of those people. All the names of which I know off by heart. 4 fucking days that took me. That was just an acronym which didn't help, it made it harder. He's related to Joseph or Jacob or Mathan or Arizi or Eddie or Achim or Sadok or Azor or Eliakim or Abinaz or Babel or Slathon or Jeconias or any of his brethren. Or Josias or Amon or Manasseh or Ezekiel or Achaz or Jotham or Ozias or Joram or Joseph or Asa or Abiah or Rehoboam or Solomon or David the shitting king. Or Jesse or Obed or Booz or Blinking Ragab or Solomon or Asa or Midab or Ingram or Ezra or Forrest or Judas or Jacob or Isaac, and especially not fucking Abraham. He's not related to any of them. There's a mistake on page 1 of the New Testament. Matthew is so pleased with himself, having fulfilled 2 Old Testament prophecies, birth of the Virgin, relationship to Abraham, plus having come up with such obvious joke names as Zorobabel and Booz of Rachab. Nobody in the world is called Booz. That is not a human name. No one ever has been called Booz. No one ever will be called Booz. Because Booz isn't a name you feel comfortable giving to a tiny baby. It's the name of a thing, not of a person, an adult thing, not of a child. Even Paulie Gates wouldn't have called a child Booz. She loved the stuff Chris Martin would go Gwyneth. I mean, come on, a fruit, fair enough. Sky potato is a beautiful name, but seem to have left booze out of this name of the dictionary. Do you know the reason they've left it out? It's because booze isn't a name, so it doesn't belong in a name of the dictionary by definition. No one's called booze. No one ever has been called booze. No one ever will be called booze, because booze is not a name. Let's just imagine there was one person called Boots. Come on. Don't know what imagine it. Imagine it harder than that, mate. What's that? Oh, that's imagine it harder. Imagine it. I know it's not happening. What if shortly after birth, both parents fell off a cliff and banged their heads? The vicar at the christening was on cocaine. I know it didn't happen. Let's just say that. It wouldn't be necessary to differentiate that booze from all the other billions of boozes running around down the streets by pointing out it was booze of Rackham. Just booze would be fine. People would know who you meant by booze. You mean booze. The man with the name that couldn't possibly exist. He would have stuck in your mind when you met him. Hello, I'm Booze. What? I know, it's an unusual name. No, it's not an unusual name, mate. It's not a name. What's your fucking name? Do you know Booze? Oh, you mean Booze of Rackham? Booze of Rackham. What other boozes are there? Even he doesn't exist. Matthew's wife must have been, oh, come on, Matthew, you can't put Booze of Rackham in this. It's too obviously a joke name, it's too broad, it's the kind of name the goodies would come up with or something. You need to, people see through that. I'm going to put it in there. Imagine if that's still in there in 2,000 years' time, how funny that joke will be. For me, the really funny thing about it is Rackham isn't a name, maybe that's what. Doesn't know, it's glaring error. Page 1 of the New Testament. If you've brought your own New Testament along tonight, please now turn to page 2. We only have 532 more pages to go through. To be honest, if this was all this was, I wouldn't have brought this up. You're busy people, I'm not going to waste your time. But this is the Gospel according to St. Luke. A bit longer, isn't it? Harder to read up there at the back. More difficult to learn, one would imagine. Now Luke's a doctor, he's cleverer than Matthew, so he doesn't make the same basic errors as Matthew. First of all, he knows it was a mistake to put this on the first page of his Bible, so he waits till chapter 3, verse 23 to slip this in. He's already hooked you with the story, now you have to read through all this shit in case the name of the killer's in there. He's clever. He's cleverer than Matthew. He knows, he's a doctor, he knows that begat is not a word. He knows if it was a word, it'd be bad literary stuff to keep repeating it over and over again in the same sentence. So instead he uses the phrase, which was the son of, over and over again in the same sentence, which isn't even grammatically correct. It should be who was the son of. I think Charles knows that. He's clever though, he's cleverer than Matthew, and you can see how clever he is from the first sentence. And Jesus himself began to be about 30 years of age. He began to do that. I imagine he woke up one morning and thought, oh, I've got nothing on today, what should I do? Ooh, I think I might begin to be about 30 today. I reckon I'll probably carry on being about 30 for approximately a year. At which point, I might think about beginning to be about 31. That's nice to have the year planned out, isn't it? That's an entry for every day in my AD 30 diary. That's nice to... It's not the clever bit. And Jesus himself, being in brackets, as was supposed, the son of Joseph. Luke's clever and he's realised what Matthew didn't realise. No, Joseph isn't related to Jesus. People might have supposed that he was. That doesn't make it true, does it? People go, there's an old man who's always hanging around with that young boy nurturing him, so I suppose that's his dad. Well, suppose all you like, Mr. Suppose. Why don't you stop supposing for 1 second of your life? Just go and ask him and go, oh no, I'm not his dad. No, his dad's the Holy Ghost. Mary's impregnated by the Holy Ghost. That's what she told me. I see no reason to doubt that. It seems feasible. Jesus isn't related to Joseph at all. Luke's realised that because he's clever. Doesn't stop Luke though, does it? Then going on to list all of Jesus' non-relations, all the way back past Abraham, right back to Adam, which was the Son of God. Thinks he's trumped Matthew there, doesn't he? Oh, Matthew, I was reading the Gospel according to you this morning. No, it's quite a good Gospel for someone who isn't a doctor. Well done, you should be pleased. But I noticed that on your genealogy that you put on page 1, you only showed Jesus relate to Abraham, didn't you? Oh, showed he was related to Adam in mine. I think that makes a bit clever than he does. I'm a doctor, I'm clever. It doesn't make him clever though, does it? Because you think about it, everyone's related to Adam, he's the first man. That bloke's related to Adam, it's literally nothing to write home about. The worst thing about this though, and I have to admit it's worse for me than it is for you, is that half the names in Luke's list are different than the ones in Matthew's. I'm not learning this one as well, I've always wasted 4 days on this. Look, in Matthew, Joseph's dad's called Jacob, in Luke he's called Heli. They can't even agree on the name of Jesus' not granddad. They're both disciples, they might we should get together, try and make our list consistent, so 2,000 years time people don't read through them both and realise they're a load of fucking shit. Yeah, good idea. What do you think Joseph's dad would be called? I came up with a name I was quite proud of for him. I thought he might be called Jacob. No. No, I think that's definitely incorrect. I think he would definitely be called Helly, so... Well, we're only making it up, can't we compromise? What, call him Jelly? No, mate, we can't. I've read through your list, all your names are shit, and I'm only to... Actually, Zorobabel, man, I like that, that's a funny one. And Booze, man, that's a minute, that's not even a name. That's why it's funny, you can't put a Rackham on there, mate, people will know it's a joke. I'm putting a Rackham, well, no one will believe your gospel, we'll see about that, well, we will see. So bearing that in mind, here's proof that I'm related to Abraham and David, I'm related to all these people, I'm related to Mattat there, see Mattat, then Matthias. I'm related to Mattat and Matthias. Math. I'm related to Mattat, Matthias, Math. I'm related to that Mattat, there's another Mattat. I'm related to Mattat. I'm related to Mattat, Matthias, Math, Mattat. I'm related to Mattatat. I'm related to Mattat to Mattatat. I'm related to Math, Mattat, Matthias. I'm related to you see there, it's one of my relations, it's one of my relations, that's one of my ancestors. Come in, your tea's ready. It's just a transcription error, isn't it? Which was the son of, that's the hymn was going to read shit. I'm ready to anus. I'm ready to anus. That's a joke. Luke put a few joke names in anus. Dukes of Hazzard, isn't it? So, they did the same joke in the Dukes of Hazzard. So, proving this gospel order to me, Joseph got Jesus, Jesus got Ian and Mary Magdalene, the slut could have happened. It's the Da Vinci Code, all over. So, proof of my divinity. I'm going to be honest with you, Barnard Castle, I don't think you're stupid like that. Matthew and Luke think you're stupid, I don't think you're stupid. I didn't know my whole family tree all the way back to biblical times. I made some of this up, okay, so I don't want to... I think someone might spot there's a couple of joke names in there. Don't mean we got gonorrhea, we got genital warts, basic, that's just, they're all sexually transmitted diseases, that's the basic note there. This is like all the prejudice humour, this, you like this, is quite clever. Genital warts begat my cunt. It looks alright written down, but then you get the vicar reads out and gets a surprise. Smegma begat Felcher Rim. No, I wish that's childish, I wish that spoils the cleverness of the my cunt joke to me. If you scare electric, maybe read through and mention I think, yum yum yum. Hubris. Mention hubris, you can get that full joke because that bloke arrived, remember? Hovercraft. Pedendum, we got there. Mary Mungo, mix some of the old. Thomas got Jeffrey, Jeffrey got Keith, the husband of Barbara, who was called Richard, who is called Herring. So I think what we've done there, we've shown that the New Testament is a load of shit. The New Testament's rubbish. It's not worth wiping your arse on. I don't want to offend any Christians in the audience tonight, but don't wipe your arse on the New Testament. That's how rubbish it is. I don't know if a few of you will be angry about it. Go, I need to see Richard Herring last night. Do you know what he said? He said we shouldn't wipe our arse on the New Testament. So angry. Well, he's right though, isn't he? That's correct. We shouldn't do. Well, no. The way he said it, saying what you said, we should wipe our arse on the New Testament. I want to say the opposite of what he said, because what he said was so angry. But like the opposite of what he said is just as bad as what he said. How's he done that? He's a magician. How's he made both options? He's tricked me with words. So I've had a nice time. I've had a lovely time. Very enjoyable. It's a magical kingdom that appears once every 1,000 years. It's great. It's an honour to be here. You've got a programme beginning, that's a free gift from me to you. I do this with all my shows. A lot of work's gone into that programme. I'd say it's less a programme, more a book of zine really, but it's... If you've enjoyed the programme, if you've enjoyed the show, what I do in all my gigs is I make a collection for Scope, which is a fantastic charity I'm involved with that helps me with cerebral palsy. It's trying to get equal rights and access for people with disabilities. So if you feel we're getting shafted really by government cuts and by the President of the United States doing hilarious impressions of them and still getting elected. What a wonderful world we're living in at the moment. So if you think those programmes are worth something you'd like to donate to a fantastic cause, you're under no obligation, but on your way out with the Horizon Buckets, please give whatever you want to give. You've been amazing in the past, and we've raised over £300,000 in the last 12 years doing this, so thank you very much. Every penny counts. And as I say, I will be out in the foyer after the show if you want to say hello. You don't have to buy anything. It's sort of interesting that a lot of us are striving to be the best, and maybe worrying about trying to be the best, but we already are the best, right? I'm not even being glib. Every single one of us is the best. I said in the first half, in the ejaculation that created you, there was 600 million sperm. You made it to the egg first. That's incredible. The chance of you being here, you won the cock lottery. You came first in the sperm marathon. One of Mars's less successful chocolate rocks, but at least they put some genitals in that one. 600 million to one, that's incredible. That's just, what if your parents had never met? You wouldn't be here. What if your parents had had an argument the day you were conceived? Or your dad had had a crafty wank that afternoon, spilled you on the ground? One of the backup boys will be here now. You enjoyed it more than you, mate. I wish you'd have made it, I tell you. And your grandparents had to have sex at the exact right time to create your parents, 600 million to one each time. Your great-grandparents, this exponential, inverted Ferrero Rocher pyramid of shagging, reaching all the way back through the humans, all the monkeys, all the fish, right back to the first amoeba. The chance of you being here are just nil, and yet here you are, you've won, you're already the best. And if you're going to make up an afterlife, I don't think there is an afterlife, right? When you're dead, it's obvious, grow up. But, you're going to make something up. Why not make up something that makes people live their lives better rather than worse and full of fear? Don't go, oh yeah, when there's a big man in the sky, he's created with all these sexual things, but if you act on them at the wrong moment, even though he made you like that, he will burn you for all eternity in a big lake of fire, because he is mentally ill. He's essentially Donald Trump in gas form. That's what we want. Make up a story that'll make people live their lives better. Why not say when you die you get shown into a gigantic room that's full of all the babies who would have existed if their sperm had made it to the egg first in your ejaculation. There's 600 million babies in this room, right? They're all sentient, they're in little thrones, they're telepathic, it's like Star Trek or something. They understand what's going on. You have to go around each of those babies in turn, explaining every single thing you did in your life, in real time. Only when that baby's satisfied you lived the better life than they would have lived if they got the chance, can you move to the next baby to do this whole same thing again. I think if you knew that was coming, you'd pull your finger out, wouldn't you? And make the most of this wonderful opportunity you've been given. Otherwise you'd have to say, yeah, I did spend every Sunday morning in the year 2007 watching the omnibus edition of Hollyoaks. Even though I was 40 at the time, it wasn't aimed directly at me. And I'd already seen every single episode in its original 6:30 evening show. But I was enjoying the subtle variation of seeing the show signed for the death. It's brilliant, it's like a different program. It's like this bald middle-aged man's turned up in Chester. He's surrounded by all these young models. He doesn't know what to do. He can only express himself with his hands. It's the character I most identify with. The baby go, well, I would have cured cancer in 2007. He could say that, he wouldn't. He would have watched Hollyoaks as well, because it's brilliant. I think you'd make the most of it if you knew that was coming. And you get through that, it would take a long time, 600 million times your life, telling all these babies the story of your life. Finally, you get to the last one, you get shown through another door, you think, brilliant, proper heaven now, this is going to be great. No, the second room, that's full of all the babies that would have existed if every sperm you'd created or encountered had created a baby rather than going into a condom or a handkerchief or onto your face. Not just your face, but now imagine that. It's going to be a very difficult image to show. Then you have to explain to each of those babies in turn why it is they never even got the chance to live. It's essentially Catholicism. I'm sort of piggybacks onto Catholicism. It's a good way of starting a new religion. Look, I hope you enjoyed the show. If you haven't enjoyed the show, this is literally the best that I can do, okay? So at least you know you never have to come to see me again. It's not been a waste of 2 hours. If you have enjoyed it, I'm hoping to carry on. I hope there's another 30 years of me yet. I hope the best is yet to come. Thanks so much for coming. I really appreciate it.